right, we're live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to TAASA Talks, the 88th. I'm here with CEO Rose Luna and Director of Policy and Legal Liz Boyce, all of us from TAASA. And if you don't know me, Luna and Director of Policy and Legal Liz Boyce, we got an echo. All of us from TAASA. And if you don't know me and Director of Policy Liz Boyce, we got an echo. All of us from TAASA. And if you don't know me, one moment, y'all.
It's all good. Hey, technology. Is the whatever in retrograde? What is that saying? Mercury. Is Mercury in retrograde?
Exactly.
Courtney's face. It's okay, Courtney. It's all good. We'll introduce ourselves while you're doing that. How about that?
Yep.
All right. I'll start. Hey, everybody. I don't know who all is joining us on Facebook or YouTube, but if you are, God bless you. And thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Rose Luna, and I'm the CEO of TAASA. And I am super excited about us getting started with our legislative process. So I'm going to hand it over to Liz.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Boyce, and I'm the Director of Policy and Legal at TAASA. And I am very excited to be kicking this off with Rose, and we will be able to give you guys updates all through session, through TAASA Talks. We're very excited to do that. It was a big hit last session, and I just see our first question popping up to ask us if we could talk about what is TAASA Talks and what the series will bring to Texas. And here's Courtney. Welcome back.
Yes. So sorry, everyone. That was a very fun echo feedback loop. Yes. Can you tell us about TAASA Talks and what the series will bring to Texas?
I will, but can I first say that we are missing Ashley Brooks. We're excited that Ashley's joining the team. She is our senior policy advisor at TAASA. Can't wait for y'all to get to know her in our next installment of TAASA Talks. And also, as always, the superstar, I call her the superstar angel, Shannon Gangerty, who is our policy advocacy lobbyist, really is the term, but there's another prettier name for that. Anyway, so those two fierce women are also a part of the team. And so they couldn't be here today. They were both feeling under the weather, but we are thankful to them. So, okay, I'm sorry. The first question, can you tell us about TAASA Talks? Okay, so TAASA Talks is something that we started last biennium because we wanted to provide a way to keep people updated on what was happening in regards to the bills that are going through the procedural process at the ledge. But more importantly, we thought, what's another way that we can really capture folks' attention? You know, writing emails, sometimes long emails, sometimes that's not the move. Like sometimes people don't want to read all that, or maybe they do, right? But maybe there are some folks that are more visual and would rather like kind of listen in and hear something concise and to the point. And so this is our attempt at trying another medium of communication about the process of the bills and also the process of just changing law in our great state of Texas. So we look forward to working with you all and sharing with you all and demystifying that process and how that really works. And we're hoping that this series will do that again this year.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rose, for giving us some background on TAASA Talks. So since it's for the legislative session, can you explain TAASA's process for developing legislative priorities?
Yes, for sure. We get this question a lot. And, you know, we have people that reach out from all over the state and want to know how they can get involved and how they can be engaged. And essentially, you know, we take information all year, every year, but during the interim, that's between the two sessions, you know, legislative session is only every other year from January to May. So there's quite a bit of time that we're not in session. And that's actually the time that we sit down and really have focused conversations with different groups of stakeholders, different multidisciplinary groups that we can get feedback about, you know, what is working, what's not working, as we're seeing how the bills from last year got passed, you know, and lessons learned. Are there things that need to be tweaked? You know, looking forward at funding needs and sending out surveys to our programs to find out, how are they spending the money? Do we need more money? Are we not able to serve as many victims as we'd like? Where are there gaps in services, things of that nature? So we'll have the surveys, the focus groups, and gather all that data so that we can understand really what's the most important thing for the following session. So that's what we were doing all last spring through the summer. That led up, of course, to developing our list of priorities for this session. And we're excited to talk about those today. Membership gave us a green light to go forward with the priorities that we presented to them over the summer. And here we are, ready to start. Bill filing started yesterday. So,
Woo! Wonderful. Thank you, Liz. And so with that, and just shout out to our members who voted on the legislative agenda, what are the TAASA priorities for the 88th?
I think when we start talking about like the priorities and what TAASA is up to for the 88th, I'd look at it as in general themes. The first theme is criminal justice. We are going to have some information in helping to tweak things in the criminal justice realm to be more survivor friendly. And then also healthcare. That's another piece. You have the SANE exams and all of those things within that realm. We're also going to do some work within that general topic area. And then funding. Funding is the big thing that we're going to go for every year because there are 254 counties. We have 76 sexual assault programs. That's just not enough. So those are the general themes and the general items within those themes that we'll be looking at for the 88th session.
Thank you, Rose. So knowing that we have these overall themes, is there one priority that you're most excited about?
There is, and this is something that I have heard over and over and over again since I started at TAASA and really even before when I was working in direct legal services. So as many of you know, we have a very robust crime victims' rights bill. Has a lot of rights, not just for sexual assault survivors, but victims of all violent crimes that, tells them that they're entitled to get information. They're entitled to understand what the process is as far as sexual assault survivors. They're entitled to an advocate in the medical exam. They're entitled to get the medical exam if they report within 120 hours of the assault. All of these are very important rights and duties, and they're set forth in a very long statute. And the problem is, and it has been, what if these rights are violated? What does a survivor do? I get this question all the time. And in fact, two of our priorities are adding to that long list of rights, and they're great. They're great priorities. But the question came actually in our membership meeting. So what if they, the police or the prosecutor or whoever, what if they don't do what they're supposed to do to provide that survivor with the right that they're entitled to? So all these years we've been talking about this, and we've done a lot of research, and we've looked at other states, and we've looked at even the military system. And in fact, there are many other states that do provide a legal pathway for survivors to enforce those rights and to have an attorney represent them. As you might know, in a criminal case, the state is represented by a prosecutor. That prosecutor does not represent the survivor, and that's not their duty. So oftentimes a survivor gets lost in that process. This bill would provide survivors with the right to get an attorney to assert their rights in court in that process. Now, not to derail the process, not to change what a jury decides or a judge decides is right for a conviction or an acquittal, but simply to make sure that their rights are adhered to and that there's some legal mechanisms in place for them to just not be ignored in this process. So it's a very kind of groundbreaking thing for Texas to do this, and I'm very, very excited about it. We've got it sitting at Legislative Council getting worked on right now, we're thrilled to give you more information about it as it unfolds and gets filed eventually.
That's wonderful. And also incredible. That's a long journey to reach that point. So here's hoping, y'all. So do you anticipate any sexual assault program funding increases this year?
Yes. I hope so. I'm just kidding. We're gonna work very hard to do that. As I mentioned earlier, I think the thing that kind of still, when we go up there and we talk about, everyone's asking for money. You know how that goes. But I think that we have a really compelling argument when it comes to that. The fact that the money that's utilized for sexual assault programs, is actually for sexual assault survivors. Making sure that that's happening. But also, as I mentioned, we have 254 counties, y'all. We have 76 sexual assault programs. So I think for those survivors who reside in the county or town or city, whatever, that the program exists, they're getting, most of them are getting what they need. But if you don't live in that county, if you're in a rural county, that's who I worry about. I grew up in rural Texas. I know people are probably sick of me saying that, but I can't help it. I did. And when I came to Austin, which seemed like a long, far away place, seriously, just 35, 40 minutes is where I grew up. It was rural. Came to Austin, I was like, God, no one ever talks about rural Texas, and no one's really even thinking about it. And all I hear is how numbers are not there. So therefore, we're just going to leave them out. So anyway, that's because of that, we at TAASA are paying attention to rural Texas. We do care about survivors that are in those areas. I don't care what the numbers are. One is all we need to hear about, and we want to make sure that they get the help that they deserve. So we are looking at, requesting an increase to help with, the areas in rural areas, survivors in rural areas, and also just to kind of keep up with the pace of demand. Last year we passed the SART bill that is taking a lot of time and energy and effort from our rape crisis centers. Another wonderful thing Donna Howard passed last year with TASA's help is 1172, which then law enforcement shall offer, an advocate. So again, taking resources from our sexual assault programs. So we are most definitely will be asking for an increase, and we're very, very, I feel good about the fact that we probably, hopefully will get it.
Thank you, Rose. Yes, I know we're here to support survivors, whether in the city or in rural areas. So, yeah. The next question, what do you expect out of the 88th legislative session?
Well, based on the opening day, yesterday was a busy day. There were over 900 bills filed yesterday.
Woo!
To give you a point of reference, there was only about 10,000 last session total for the whole session. So that's a big chunk. Almost 1,000 bills in one day is a lot. I think the opening day 2 years ago, it was about half that, maybe a little more than half that. So we have some excited legislators this session, and they're eager to, get going and get busy, maybe make up for some lost time through COVID. I don't know, but there's a lot of legislation so far that's been filed around guns and school safety. Unfortunately, there's a lot that involve transgender individuals and their rights, which we'll be keeping a close watch on. But in terms of the issues that impact our survivors of sexual assault, we have seen a couple that are interesting that we're going to be watching. One involves an exception to rape with regard to the abortion ban. So as you guys know, last session, Texas the legislature voted to make abortion illegal with no exception for rape or incest. And for a lot of reasons, that has made a lot of people feel unsafe and look for other options outside of the state. Well, fast forward to yesterday, we have one bill that has been filed that would make it an exception for anyone who goes to a physician, explains that they are a survivor of sexual assault and they need an abortion, and they would be entitled to have that abortion, and all of those prohibitions would not apply to them. There's no requirement within the bill. There's no requirement that they seek a police report or that they get an exam or anything like that. It's just based on their own description of what happened to them. So while it's still putting some burden on a survivor to have to come forward and disclose to a physician. At least it would be a confidential conversation within the confines of that conversation. And so it's probably the best option we could hope for. Now, whether that's going to go forward and be passed, we don't know yet. It's early days, but there's only one so far that deals with that. In addition, there's a couple of bills that deal with amending the consent statute, adding in intoxication as what's not consent if a person is intoxicated, and also if for cases of deception, which is actually something that we tried to pass last session and it did not pass. So the same bill author that tried that last year is going to try it again this year. And we wish her well in that effort, because we know that rape by deception is a very thing that happens too frequently, and that it's a loophole in our penal code to deal with those kinds of situations. So, so those are some things that we're watching this session.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to add to the carve out, that is something that is going to be, what we're going to do as an organization is to ensure that all at the table, or all who want to take this on, that they know that we are here to provide assistance and support, and to provide that information, to be a resource to them. Because our lane is adult sexual assault survivors. And with child survivors, that's a whole nother thing. But we have our partners at Texas CAC, at Texas TAASA, that we work hand in hand with on that. But when it comes to this rape carve out and adult survivors of sexual assault, we just want to make sure that everyone knows that we are a resource. Not only are we a resource at TAASA, but we have experts on the ground in their districts, in the sexual assault programs that serve their area. So we want to make sure that they understand the nuances that are involved in that, the reality of a sexual assault when it comes to adults, and the misconception that is just swirling that, the victim blaming that comes with that, the lack of reporting that comes with that, and also just keeping that in mind, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that there's no harm when it comes to our adult sexual assault survivors. They're not believed now. They're met with resistance and met with victim blaming as it is. So we can imagine when you add the layer of abortion, that complicates that even more. So we just want to make sure that they understand that we are here as a resource to provide that information. But our goal and our North Star is always survivors of sexual assault, adult survivors of sexual assault. And as far as like what to expect from the 88th, I have no clue what to expect. Man, I tell you, the guiding, like the context for me, I was looking at, okay, well, let's see what the election does. So we saw with the election. So there's like really no change in anywhere really, right? So that's good news for us, because we know the players. We've worked with them, they've worked with us. Dare I say, we've developed some trust with those. So it's business as usual for us. And what I'm hoping though for the 88th legislative session is that everyone does maintain that independent Texas spirit that we have as Texans, for better or worse, and that we do come together to do the people's work. And our lane is sexual assault survivors. So we're going to be there advocating for them and advocating for laws that center their needs. And we are looking forward to working with anyone who's interested in doing that, regardless of their political affiliation or whatever. So we're very excited about that.
Thank you both. So my next question is, what are the best ways for folks to get involved?
So we have a couple of options for people. One is you can always contact your elected official and, put in a plug of support for any of our priorities. And the best way to know what we're supporting is not only to watch our TAASA Talks as the session moves forward, but also we have a policy listserv. And if you're interested in being on the policy listserv, please just email what you see here on the screen, policy@taasa.org, and we can get you on that listserv. We'll send out alerts. What we'd love is for people to let us know their level of desired engagement. So, I just want to know so I can, make a call. I just want to know so I can put a card in the mail. That's fine. That's great. That's very helpful. If you're interested, even though in coming to the Capitol and having face-to-face conversations. If you're interested in coming to our Capitol Day, which is February 16, that's a day that we do every session where we partner with TCFV, Texas Council on Family Violence, and we encourage people to come and talk directly to their legislators about funding specifically and even some non-funding priorities. And then, we even have sometimes opportunities to testify in specific cases. So that's a higher level of engagement. But if you're interested in that, please let us know.
Wonderful. So yeah, y'all, any of the levels of interest, policy@taasa.org. So now we have a moment. If you have any questions, feel free to put in the comments, whether you're streaming from Facebook or YouTube, we'll be able to put up your questions. So yeah, we'll take a moment, see if any coming through. Good morning. I saw someone said that they were checking in. Cool. Thanks for joining us, folks. Well, as we wait, just so we know, it's like, I'm glad to know that not only will we be focusing on our priorities, but we will be keeping an active eye on what is going on that affect and impact survivors. But just know that regardless, as Rose said, we will continue doing the work. All right. I don't see any questions. Last call.
That means we answered everybody's questions already.
Wow, we did a good job, Liz.
Y'all did. Well, thanks y'all for joining the first kickoff of the TAASA Talks. Like we said, we will be having many more coming in the new year, 2023. So be on the lookout. You'll receive notifications, whether it be on social media or via email. So yeah, any last thoughts, comments, Liz, Rose?
We're just really excited to get started and happy to have everybody engaged in this process with us and supporting us as we fight the good fight.
And it feels like just yesterday that we were doing this, but it's in a good way. I mean that in a very positive way. But this is about, it's time to roll up sleeves and hit the pavement. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that the legislators, all the elected officials understand who the true experts are. And that is the sexual assault programs in their districts. That is TAASA. That is us collectively together. And again, being guided by survivors of sexual assault and centering them. So we're looking forward to it. I feel like we get better every year. So we are looking forward to that. So yeah, appreciate y'all being here this morning. Thank y'all so much. Please keep in touch.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.